Hi, my name is Doug Fisher. I work at San Diego State University and I'm a teacher leader at Health Sciences High. I'm really interested in all aspects of reading, reading comprehension, reading and vocabulary, reading and diverse learners. So I'm really interested in helping kids develop their reading skills. My current area of attention is on close reading, this idea that we can get students into way more complex texts than we used to get them into. We could really ratchet up the rigor of the text that they're reading. And as I've watched lessons that push kids into these complex texts, I notice a few things. Number one, the texts are fairly short. You can't do this with hundreds and hundreds of pages. So we intentionally select shorter pieces of text that are really, really complex, way above what students will be able to read on their own. Second, we do a lot of work with annotation. We ask students to mark on the text, making notes of their thinking, underlining things like central ideas, circling words and phrases that are confusing, maybe writing margin notes that help them remember what they're thinking and summarize along the way. A lot of close reading is a conversation. Students should be talking with one another as they read and try to figure out these complex texts. I think our biggest contribution yet to close reading is these text-dependent questions that we've asked. There's a lot of discussion about the kinds of questions that teachers can ask students about the text that they're reading. And it used to be, not too long ago, the questions were kind of random in order. We kind of weren't sure how to use questions as a scaffold in complex texts. And we've been thinking about this a lot, watching a lot of lessons and learning a lot. And I'd like to think that we're getting to the place where we get it, where we really understand this. The initial read of a text focuses on the literal level. We like to say, what does the text say? A very literal interpretation. If the lesson stopped there, it would be a bad lesson. But if the text is really complex, students need to understand it at the literal level before we push them into deeper levels of the text. The second level is the structural level. How does the text work? We look deeply inside the text for its vocabulary and the text structures and the author's craft, like the genre or the narration or the literary devices. We slow down and dig deep into that text and kind of figure out how the author put it together and why the author included certain parts of the text and what they do to help us understand the text. And then the third level of the text is the inferential level. What does the text mean? That's where we teach students how to make these logical inferences from the text and how to compare the text they're reading with other texts that they may have read or will read. And then what opinions and arguments they can form from those texts. So we think of this as a cognitive journey, if you will, from the literal level to the structural level to the inferential level. How long a student needs to take at each level really depends on who the students are and what the teacher's doing.